In the small town of Hibbing, Minnesota, a teenage boy spent hours listening to old blues records and dreaming of distant roads. His name was Robert Zimmerman, but the world would soon know him as Bob Dylan. He wasn't like the other kids. While they talked about school and sports, he was memorizing Woody Guthrie's lyrics and teaching himself guitar and harmonica. When he moved to New York City in 1961, he had little more than a guitar, a backpack, and a dream. The city was cold and unfamiliar, but Dylan had something special, a voice full of stories, a soul shaped by folk music, and a desire to say things no one else dared to say. He began playing in small cafés in Greenwich Village, earning just enough for food. People noticed him not because of his voice, it was rough and strange, but because of the words he sang. One of his first songs to catch attention was Blowing in the Wind. It was simple but powerful. Listeners were shocked that someone so young could write lyrics so deep. The song asked questions that had no clear answers, and yet everyone felt they understood what he meant. Soon, Dylan became a symbol of the civil rights movement. Young people saw him as someone who spoke for them, even though he never claimed to be a leader. As his fame grew, Dylan changed. He didn't want to stay in one place musically. In 1965, he shocked his fans by going electric at the Newport Folk Festival. With loud guitars and drums behind him, he performed a raw, energetic version of Like a Rolling Stone. Many in the audience were confused. Some booed, others cheered. But Dylan didn't care. He had already moved on in his mind. The press followed his every move, trying to define him. Was he a poet, a prophet, a rebel? Dylan gave mysterious interviews, often joking or answering questions with riddles. Reporters grew frustrated, but he seemed to enjoy the confusion. He once said, "I'm just a song and dance man," even though his songs had become the soundtrack to political and cultural change. In 1996, after a motorcycle accident, Dylan disappeared from public view for a while. Rumors spread. Was he injured? Was he dead? In truth, Dylan had grown tired of fame. He stayed home with his wife and children, writing songs and recording with a group of musicians who would later become the band. The music was softer, more personal. He wasn't shouting to crowds anymore. He was whispering secrets. As the years passed, Dylan continued to reinvent himself. In the 1970s, he went on a chaotic tour called the Rolling Thunder Revue, wearing white face paint and performing with a rotating cast of musicians and actors. In the late 1970s, he surprised everyone again by announcing that he had become a born-again Christian. His songs turned into sermons. Some fans were confused, others were inspired. Then, just as suddenly, he changed direction once more. By the 1980s and 1990s, Dylan's voice had grown rougher, darker. Some critics said he was finished, but he kept touring year after year in what became known as the never-ending tour. Sometimes the crowds were small, sometimes they were huge. Dylan didn't seem to care. He played what he wanted, how he wanted. He would change melodies, rearrange lyrics, and often left fans guessing what song he was performing until halfway through. In 2000, something strange happened. Dylan released Time Out of Mind, an album full of sadness, shadows, and beauty. Critics called it a masterpiece. Suddenly, younger generations were discovering him. He even won an Oscar in 2001 for the song Things Have Changed. Through all of this, Dylan never stopped writing. In 2016, he became the first songwriter to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. The Nobel Committee called him a great poet in the English-speaking tradition. True to form, Dylan didn't attend the ceremony. He sent a speech instead, written in his usual cryptic style. Some people were angry, others admired his mystery. Even today, Bob Dylan remains a riddle. He rarely gives interviews. He rarely explains his songs. But when he steps onto the stage with his weathered face and gravel voice, the room still holds its breath.
Enjoyed the story? Support the channel. Buy me a coffee.